What's going on YouTube? This is Chaos-Reighn, and today I'm going to be touching a little bit about the few mechanics that I think are going to be relevant next league and going to be insanely profitable to run. Um, well, today is going to be the first mechanic that I'm going to be going over, and that mechanic is heist. Now, for this, I've been doing my Heat Forges build, which I think in my last video I believe I mentioned it's not going to be in the same performance as it was in League as it will be in Standard. If you're a Standard player and you do like this kind of thing, then I do recommend trying the Heat Forges out. I haven't gone through with min-maxing my character yet. I am working on it. In time I will get to it, but what I want to talk about today is how you can go about basically min-maxing your heists and rogues to kind of take advantage of the mechanic and get as much as possible with as little investment as possible. So, first things first, I'm going to go ahead and make a disclaimer that this video is going to be a little bit longer than some of my other videos, just because I do have a lot to explain, and I'm going to be running a couple of contracts and a full blueprint all in the same video. So we're going to go ahead and show you a little bit about my rogues and how I gear them, and I will kind of explain what's necessary and not necessary whenever you're running heists and grand heists. So the first thing I will say is the first thing you need to work on is your cloaks. Now, you would think maybe working on the brooches would be easier, but your cloaks are basically the thing that allows you to open more chests. And if I go over here and look at my cloak here, in L3, if you see it says 11% reduced raising alert level from opening chests. Goes up to 12%, I'm just too lazy to divine it. And then of course it also has the reduced hiring fee, which is good, and the character level, which helps them do a little more damage, but that doesn't matter. So on top of that, it does have the implicit of reduced raising alert level, which is insanely strong. And whenever you're rolling them, the main thing you really want to do is get your reduced raising alert level to T1. T1 I believe is like item level 80 or 81, I'm not sure, so you're probably going to have to get the Whisper Wovens. However, up until you get to that point, getting any cloak and alt spamming it just so you can get that reduced raising alert level will immediately be more profitable on a contract to contract and heist to heist basis. Now, I'm able to basically chain heist with using only one of my people, and that person I use is Gianna. Now, Gianna here has the reduced raising alert level from opening chest tier 2, but I also have a chance that opening a chest does not generate alert. So I kind of weighed that and said 2% versus an additional 3% chance to basically get a free chest open was worth it. When you're min-maxing one character, I do recommend doing Gianna, and if you decide to do anyone else, you can. So Gianna has the ability here, if we go L3, Deception, Perception, Counter Thaumaturgy. Now, right now it says I have 35% reduced blueprint revealing cost and discover a blueprint upon completion of a heist contract mission. That's her ability. If I actually take this off, it goes down to 30%. I believe this is a total of 45%. Because of the way the game's mechanics works on 10% reduction, so on and so forth for the other character. Whenever I reveal, it's usually dramatically cheaper than it is on anything else. And of course, her getting 1 to all levels means I can use Perception level 3 and Counter Thaumaturgy level 4. So that being said, if you're able to do that, you're able to do pretty much a lot of things. So right now we're going to go ahead and go over the easy way you can run a bunch of contracts in a chain without really having to worry about breaking your bank or going broke on doing it. So the easiest way I can think of is, first, you have to go and get a couple of deception contracts. Well, I'm going to go ahead and just get 2 or 3 out because I don't need that many reveals for a blueprint. I think 2, let's do 1 because I'm pretty sure I can find a 2 reveal blueprint. So we're going to go ahead and I've been doing Thieves Trinkets for basically the Delirium Orbs. I think I found 20 or so today. So I think it's a good pace for me to change. And I'm going to change that into right here. So there are a couple things you can note. One thing, it has 4 div rooms, 2 delirium rooms, so on and so forth. If you're going for something like this, you know, you're going to be not obligated, but you're going to want to open up those rooms usually. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for one that's just kind of not very good. And obviously losing out the div rooms isn't horrible, especially in standard, but if you're in league, you know, you might be tempted to open up the div rooms. It really depends on what your mood is and how frugal you want to be with your markers. We're just going to go ahead and go with this one. So now, before I even start, I'm going to show you what I mean. If I go to my characters and my rogues, I have one Gianna reveal, and it says it's 45% discount. So if I reveal this, boom, now I have 0 Gianna reveals, and you know I still need one more. That's why we got the deception aside. Now to get Gianna reveals, you can do deception, perception, or counter thaumaturgy up to a certain point. Obviously, the +1 levels lets you get higher ones in, so it's very, very recommended. For Wakano, I only use Wakano on specific rooms, and I only use Niles if I'm really, really wanting to use the extra markers on, say, another wing. But for now, what we're going to do is, if you can't tell here, we actually went from 7k to 5.2k, and we already have one wing revealed, so we're just going to go ahead and pop our contract right in.
I'm here.
And I'll give you kind of a rundown on how I go about running my contracts and blueprints in chain, and basically almost indefinitely sustaining them. Now, there is a trick to sustaining them in a way. If you're doing this method, you will basically still need to buy contracts and blueprints, so you have to rely on whatever you find and whatever you sell. On early leagues, and my recommendation for heist is to basically start with replicas, and there's a couple of reasons for this. Early league, not everyone's going to look at alt gems and be like, hey, this alt gem is going to be my, you know, biggest upgrade right now. They're going to look at uniques, especially really good uniques. One of my uniques that I chase early league is the replica Hiri's Truth, I believe it is. Now the replica Hiri's Truth has been one of my favorites for many leagues. This league I decided to use the Pandemonious just because I haven't used it in a couple of leagues. But I did start with the replica Hiri's Truth, and then I sold it later on. It is a consistent sell, I'd like to say, for about 2 to 3x early league, sometimes more on if you get like the first one on market. And especially on console, if you're trying to aim for that, it's definitely possible, as replica Hiri's Truth is one of the most common things you can find. Now in past leagues there have been other common jewelry or stuff like that that has appeared, such as the replica Emberwake, which at one point was selling for 8 to 10 exalts, and it was extremely common. When I say extremely common, I mean if I was heisting for less than like an hour or two, I would probably almost guaranteed find one. They were basically, I ended the league with like 6 or 7 extras of the replica Emberwakes. So it's just what it is if you're doing heist. Now I didn't do heist this league, as you guys know. I basically spammed the ever-living hell out of the logbooks, and I do think that if logbooks become core sooner than later, those will be very fun, and I will probably definitely go to those again. However, heist is by far, few and far between, one of the most profitable things to do without worrying about insane investment. Obviously, I'm doing high level contracts and heists here, as I'm in standard and not on a new character, but this can be very easily replicated at a lower level. The earliest level you can do this at is 71. Now, level 71 contracts can give you reveals, and obviously you can use pretty much any level for Grand Heist. Obviously, you might not have 3 wings, you might not even have 4 wings, or you might only have 2 wings, right? So in that case, you only need 1 Gianna reveal, and that'll save you markers on that end. Now, you will not get some of the certain replicas, as they are gated by a certain item level, and there are times where you're only going to get rares on the lower replica blueprints. So what you can do is, if you're doing a very low blueprint before you get to the 80s, do gem blueprints and rotate into back and forth between gem and replicas, as it's going to feel pretty bad if you go and you get a whole bunch of, you know, bad replicas that you don't need. You can get things such as the Emperor Wake and Hiri's Truth, as I had mentioned, but they are not the most common things in that aspect. So now we're going to go over the next part of my thing. If you can't tell, I have 2,400 markers gotten from this. I believe the normal amount is only about 2,000. This was a normal contract, nothing special. Now, this is the next part. If you're running one character, such as just chaining Gianna to do blueprints, you want that rule right there that says 25% increased rogue marker value from primary heist target. This means every single time you do a contract with Gianna and you bring out the big item, you are guaranteed to get 25% more markers from that target. So now let's go ahead and reveal this blueprint. Let's see, normally I don't reveal anything else, but the exception would be very, very short walk escape routes, just so you can secure an item definitely. Now normally if I'm doing like, hey, I have a whole bunch of markers, I'd open up these. I do have a lot of markers because I'm in standard, but for the sake of showing you how inexpensive and cheap this is to kind of acquire, we're going to go ahead and just kind of do it this way. Now we're back down to 4,700 markers. We started at 7k. If you can't tell, like, this is a really efficient way to just kind of get things going and whatnot. So as for the way you reveal, the one thing I will recommend is the first and foremost, most important guy is Karst if he can fit. Second is Vendiri, because Vendiri duplicates anything and everything you find in your heist. And third would be any other reduction character and or Tibbs if you want to have 2 more chests to open at the end of it. So we have a reduction here, we have Indiri, and we have a double reduction. So now that we have 2 reductions, we're going to be able to get a lot of value there. Sorry, I'm talking over.
I have a very good ears.
Boom, boom. Okay. Alright, perfect.
You're good to go.
So now I will say there are also a couple of ways you can go about running your blueprints. You can run them magic, you can run them rare, you can run them scoured. If you're early in League, running them scoured is just going to be only to your benefit. However, you're not going to be able to open that much. Now, if you see the alert level reduction, that applies to everything, which means if you were to open a chest, that's 13% reduction off the chest, and that stacks with your with the cloaks of your rogues. So just I'm gonna run it blue just to kind of show you, you know, minimal investment. This is how I would find it in the map, and just I wouldn't put anything on it and run the blueprint as quick as possible. So the reason why I'm going over this is because I have decided to kind of bring you guys a little bit of an update on what my plans are going forward. First things first, I do plan to continue with my YouTubing and whatnot. This league has been pretty dead. My league itself has just been extremely dead. I can make currency and make as much as I need to get by, but it's just really, really hard to kind of justify playing a league that just feels so dead. And you know, you can't. I have a headhunter for sale in league and no one's buying it. Like that's not supposed to happen, honestly. You know what I mean? It is what it is, though. We have a dead league, and you just kind of have to roll with the punches as they come. So this is my first thing I'm going to go over, is just kind of going over rogues and how to kind of min-max them. As I said before, we are playing Hate Forges, so we do nothing until we hit our rage benchmark. Alright, cool.
Death, one way or another.
I don't know where I'm going. Where am I going? Over here? Alright.
Hold on to your butts.
Give you guys a light show so you don't see the map overlay.
We have company.
Now, because I do have, what do you call it, double reductions, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open all the small chests instead of opening any of the big rooms. Mainly because, you know, I'm in standard and I just want to kind of show you the value of opening these big rooms. Also, I think I'm still on, no, I'm on 4, okay, we're good.
We have company.
Good. You take that.
Take what you can. Live for now.
As you can see, we're not getting a whole lot out of the small chests, but that's not always the case. Sometimes you'll get like 8 stack decks or stuff like that. But it's the same thing if you open the other chests. You can open those big chests and literally get nothing out of them, or at least nothing of value. See, that one little small chest give us all that value, so that's pretty strong.
Plenty more where that came from, I reckon.
Now, I could go back and open more chests. I do have div rooms, so we are going to go open the div rooms, and because we have double reduction, it's worth it.
Crack their minds like so many raw eggs.
Oi, incoming.
Shut it.
Alright. Collect all the decks up. And let's just get out of here, go and check our replicas. So, I basically wanted to kind of bring you guys, hey look, this is a relatively valuable way to make currency in League. especially at League start, or at least the first like week or so of League if you're not real big on doing a insane League start. Now let's see, let's go ahead and clear everything, and then I'll go over a couple of the replicas. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like we have a lot of high-end value here, so we're just going to kind of skim through it and kind of show you replica bones, ring, leer cast, and it looks like the Royal Skeen Heartbreaker. So there are two ways you can go about this. The first way is if you have a bad replica, like in my case, I just leave the Grand Heist altogether and open a few chests on my way out. If you don't have a bad thing, let's say you have a mediocre drop and it's like a 2x 3x, then go ahead and try and escape by yourself if you're confident. But what I do recommend is if you're doing this kind of thing, especially if you're doing really high-end stuff, like you're trying to escape with a Regal to X trinket early on in League and that's a really big value jump in your overall value, or you get like a replica Pharaoh's Fur and you don't want to lose it, one of the things you can do is you can request friends to help. They can come in, and that way, if you do die, they can pick up your item. Now, this does make the mobs in here slightly tougher, but in all honesty, they're not all that much different. You have a little more damage to them, and maybe take like half a hit more, but most of them are pretty squishy. Now, if you can't tell, we're getting a lot of just bubblegum currency just off of these small chests. And this is why we kind of do this kind of thing. We got 2 humility cards. See if you got that pretty early on, especially like week 1, you can sell those for 20C. If you got them really, really early, you can sell them for a little more. Also depends, obviously, on the value of your Exalt and your Tabula Rasa on the platform you're playing on. I play on console, so yeah, that's the values here. It's usually like we like day 1 and 2 you can get an X for a tabby, and day 3 plus you can get something else. So
Before they make too much noise.
Feel so young again.
now I will again note that I am in a higher level contract with a lot more loot. You're not going to expect to get all this kind of loot, nor have this many chests you can open. Just as a disclaimer, I'm just doing this to show you that if you're going to be doing some, like you're relatively comfortable with your build, you've gotten the maps, you have enough currency to either buy something to invest in or something, contracts is a very, very, very good thing to invest in. So let's go ahead and look at our next one. So we have the Replica Pure Talent. Looks like we have one of the experimental bases with a triple tier 2 prefix. That is a lot of evasion. That's pretty cool. Then we have the Poison Claw. So the Pure Talent, I think, would be one of the targets here. But let's see what else we have. Okay. We're just going to go ahead and take this. Now, normally in League, you're going to find stuff like this, and it's not going to be worth a lot. However, you can find people who are looking for it and maybe trade them for value of something you are looking for. Just try and keep an eye out for the bases like that, because some of them can have really, really good rolls and you can get a lot of value, whether it be stuff to push towards your raw currency or just items that maybe you're missing small pieces or something. So nothing is ever too small usually. I am in standard, so missing one of those replicas in that last wing isn't a very big deal for me. It might be different if you're starting League and you need every bit of currency, of course.
Wait, what's that?
Want that alteration. There you go. And then our last wing.
The world's a stage.
No one gets a happy ending. Yes?
Back to stealth. Fight together, and we shall overcome.
Too easy.
Death, one way or another.
If you don't want it, I'll take it.
Alright.
Reckon I'll find
So as you
something
see,
better.
we only have one more wing. This is our last wing to do. And this didn't take us very long. We do have a speedy character, and we're on a higher
Stay
level,
out of
but
it.
I will say that that doesn't really matter, as if you're doing the lower level Grand Heist, you're not going to have as long of a grand heists as I have here. That's just fact, unfortunately. Like, the grand heists are really short. You don't have as many rooms. You don't have as many chests.
Saw that
But you
ending
can at
coming
least
a
look
mile
forward to
away.
getting a lot more loot like this if you just kind of
Take
play
what
at
you
it as you
can.
go.
Live for now.
Alright, doesn't look like we got a whole lot in this in the small chest in this one.
Death.
That's fine.
One way.
Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and go over a couple of these, see if we got anything good. Doesn't look like we got anything good this time either. So, first thing I will say is, let me actually grab that. Alright, that it? Okay. First thing I want to say is, the first thing you can do is look at all of your replicas. I got 1, 2, 3 replicas. Nothing really jumps out at me, and I'm assuming if you're looking at this, nothing would jump out at you either. You would be right. So then you look at this. This is another one of those bucklers. If I go L3, we see it has a tier 1, a tier 2%, and a tier 2 flat life, along with 2 suffixes. This is another one that you can get. Our other one here, if you look, it's just a bit more evasion because it's all evasion, and then it has a little bit of life instead of this one, which has a fairly decent amount of life. So, what we're going to do from here is we are actually going to just skip this one altogether. We're going to see what we have at our belt. We have T1, 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 T9, T5. So this is a good belt if you get a synthesized craft on it. A lot of times I find belts like this that have like triple T1 or triple T1, T2, something like that, res suffixes, and then I just synthesize it. You can also try and double corrupt it to get rid of it. So that's another real good thing that you can do. This is unfortunate, but this time around we didn't find anything amazing. Now, this is to be expected. You're not always going to find anything that's like breaking your bank or being very impactful. It does kind of suck when you invest a little bit of time, but as I said, if you're doing it like this, you're going to see a lot more replicas, a lot more gems, a lot more whatever you're farming for by doing this farming method and just kind of zooming through things.
Guards! Weapons up!
So normally if you are in a league start, you would be opening all those other chests, obviously. You know, those gems would be value for you. You can sell them, certain ones, level 20 or 20 quality for about 10 chaos or something like that. And the prophecies are very good. Now, I don't know if we have a future in prophecies. As Chris Wilson has said, he doesn't think that prophecies have a future. But we'll see how that goes. If that doesn't pertain to next league and we still have prophecies coming into next league, I will be more than glad to show you a little bit more about prophecy farming and how to min-max it and get as much value as you can out of silver coins, and why people do it in league and why they're usually expensive on console. So, without further ado, I figured I'd give you guys a quick rundown of how I run my heist efficiently. Now, I could do this in League, but I don't have any of my rogues leveled up. I don't have any gear for them. I basically have been giving all my contracts and blueprints away because I did it for 3 full leagues and I'm just needed a break from it. Now I'm kind of doing it at the end of this league in standard because why not? I have min-max gear. So if you guys have any questions about heist and or want to figure out, you know, how you would go about, you know, doing your own kind of min-maxing of heist or min-maxing in other ways, I am more than willing to answer. There are different ways you can run Grand Heist. One of the ones I will mention right now is you can actually run a setup to where you can open 2 curio cases on average of about 1 out of 5 times. And if you do that, you will usually, it will usually come down to eventually you'll get what you're looking for. 24, huh? I've been buying writs and running them, so let me offer this guy real quick. And then I'll wrap up. Okay. Alright, put this here. Oh no. What did he do? Take him off. R.I.P. dude. R.I.P. Yeah, looks like he either took him off or something. Oh well. Well, that's that. Well, without further ado, this has been Chaos-Reighn. I hope you guys do enjoy my videos, and if you have any questions, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And you are free to send me a message on PSN and or send me a friend request. I will say that if you do send a friend request, please, please, please let me know who you are, let me know how you found me, and so on and so forth. I get a lot of friend requests. Sometimes, not a lot, but I do have a lot of pending from people I've never heard of before, and they don't even say, "Hey, I saw you on YouTube," or "Hey, you know, you're a friend of a friend," anything like that, and that's kind of weird, like sketch. It's like, huh, who's this person? So please let me know what's up. If you have any kind of concerns or questions about heist, let me know. I can let you know what I know. It's a lot of letting of knowing, right? And we can kind of go over things together. If you want to figure out any other farming methods that may still be in effect next league, or most likely will be in effect next league, please stay tuned. I will be more than glad to share them with you. I will say I'm not going to be covering anything that has to do with the Atlas, as they are doing a full Atlas rework according to a lot of the notes this league. As such, we are losing a lot of power, and or we are gaining a lot of power. We don't know yet, and basically we're going to figure out where we're going from there. So if you guys have any questions on anything or any of the content I made, or you want to see any kind of build guides of any of my builds I play, including in-depth build guides and a breakdown of why I choose what I choose, feel free to ask. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, see you guys in the next video. Take it easy, everybody.